probably most of the members are black. He tells me he's surprised how many of the members of his union are going to vote for Trump. So maybe all this is working, and it doesn't, you don't have to change the numbers that much. I mean, black people vote 95% for Democrats. They crank that down to 80%. That will be an earthquake. That will change the world. I mean, if anybody can do that, it's Trump. So I'm not sitting here going, well, Trump should say this, Trump should say that. No. Trump's doing just fine with that good old Colin whispering in his ears what to say. Because I'm not really concerned with how he gets elected or not. Okay? I'm concerned with just telling you guys the truth about the implications of everything he says when he starts talking about race and violence and this enormous level of black dysfunction in this country. So I'm just trying to be an observer. You don't need me to be a cheerleader. You just kind of need me to, in the best of all possible worlds, just kind of tell you, what's really what's below these speeches. I've written a lot of these speeches. I've never written a speech for a presidential candidate. I've written a lot of speeches. I've written a lot of columns. Mayors, senators. Did I ever write a speech for a governor? Let me think. No governors. I don't think. But a lot of them. And I've written in newspaper. I've ghostwritten newspaper columns when newspaper people get sick. My buddy was a national columnist. He got sick. I went to see him in the hospital. I said, "What are you going to do about your column?" He said, "Well, I'm just gonna take a hiatus for a couple weeks." I said, "No, I don't trust those people that run your column. I don't trust any of them to give you a hiatus. If you disappear for a couple weeks, then you disappear." So I said, just let me write it. I'll write it. And I of course wrote it for him, and I haven't stopped letting him forget that good old Collins column, written under his name, got a hell of a lot more reaction than his column. Bam. So anyway, I wish Mr. Trump well. I know what he's trying to do. I wish, I see Sheriff Clark up in Milwaukee is, trying to give him some encouragement. And, if he's not one of the good guys, then there are no good guys. It's weird that we have to have a guy running for president can make news by going into a city and saying how much he likes cops. I mean, you think about, the cliche, by now it's the thin blue line, right? The cops are the thin blue line that separate us from the criminals and the anarchists. Man, think about how much that blue line has changed. Think about how much it has moved to the point where if you like a cop, you kind of have to explain to people why you like it. I mean, the default position now is almost like, oh yeah, the cops, they're arresting all those black people, putting them in jail for no reason whatsoever. Oh yeah, I get that. Everybody knows that. When the opposite is true, when cops are the victims of racial abuse every day. So that's the world these guys are living in. Not just Trump, but all of his buddies, all, Reince Priebus, all the guys running for Senate. And they're all going to get hammered with this. I mean, think about all the guys running for president. Think about Rand Paul. Rand Paul was going around doing the critical race theory thing, the black victimization thing. He went, he went to the NAACP convention to tell them that he was one of them. He was down with the cause and got to get all these black people out of prison because they're in there for no good reason whatsoever. There's Marco Rubio. I can still see him on a couple occasions on the Megyn Kelly show telling him how much, that Black Lives Matter had a valid point because he had a friend who's been pulled over by police before, a black friend. I think of John Kasich doing the same thing. I mean, all those guys. The only one I really didn't see come out and try to do some pandering at some point was Cruz. Everybody else was trying to get on, the down with the cause train. But here's something interesting that's happening as the Black Lives Matter crowd, as they kind of splashed onto the scene and got really huge, and there's still a huge presence in the minds of lots and lots of reporters. They're kind of raising the stakes. They're raising the bar. They're the ones who are saying that, white people are committing crimes on black people and and cops are always wrong. Well, this puts a lots and lots of reporters, and it puts a lot of just regular old people in kind of a conundrum. It's like, because every day they're seeing the opposite of that. They're seeing black criminality wildly out of proportion. Reporters see it. I mean, even they can't ignore it sometimes. I swear I'm starting to see more and more people freely acknowledge that when, the people in the crime, committing these crimes are black. I mean, there's a couple people, there's still a lot of people doing the vague description, still a lot of people pretending it doesn't matter. More and more people. I just read the story this morning out of Gastonia, North Carolina. 62-year-old dude was in his house. Boom, two black people come in and kill him. Maybe they took a few things. I don't know that a year or two ago we would have seen that. I know that a year or two ago we would not have seen in the local TV station, in the website, saying, "Oh yeah, the suspects were black." So the Black Lives Matter crowd has raised the ante, and everybody else is going. I mean, I'm not talking about the 20% of the people who were in total denial about everything about racial violence, but there's another 50% there in the middle, 30, 40, 50%, who are kind of open to it, but they're just not. They don't feel safe talking about it. Well, it seems like the environment now is more open than ever for people to point out that there is a lot of black dysfunction, there is a lot of black criminality, there's a lot of black on white crime, and a lot of people are just not paying attention to it. Now, even as I say that, I'm still thinking of all the stories we've done over the last month or two about people who get fired for telling the truth about black violence. Just yesterday in Baltimore, I think I have a story on it coming out in the next couple minutes on this channel. It's probably already out. A lieutenant in the Baltimore Police Department, one of the muckety mucks in the the Fraternal Order of Police, their union, he sent an email to all of his members saying, "Hey, Black Lives Matter people are a bunch of thugs." He called them thugs. He got suspended. The newspaper went to the local, black lawyer, and he goes, "Well, this is really bad because we have to restore the trust that is broken between law enforcement and the community." No, what he really says is there's a lot of people in Baltimore who don't get caught when they commit crimes. So that's the world we're living in. And I just think it's a lot different than the world that I'm hearing in this speech. My only hope is, like every other one of my political prognostications for the last 8 million years, I'm 100% wrong. Until then, I hope if you're a cop or if you have a job that's with a slightly public face, I hope you don't do anything to make the black kids angry.